Welcome to our few moments together on the Parsha. This Shabbos, we have the privilege of reading Parshas Shoftim. In the middle of Parshas Shoftim, we read about the responsibility to appoint a king over the Jewish people. Of course, the Jewish people have a responsibility to do three things when they come into the land. One is to appoint a king, one is to destroy and get rid of the evil of Amalek, and a third one, of course, is to eventually build the Beis HaMikdash, which comes together with the appointment of a king. When it talks about the appointment of a king, it gives us very specific laws and rules about certain things the king may and the king may not do. And of course, we could question as to why all the Jewish people are commanded this responsibility to make sure that the king does this. Perhaps, as our rabbis have often explained and expressed to us, it's because it's not only that there is a king over the Jewish people, but each and every one of us is a melech. We're a king and a ruler over our own selves. We have the power of the decision-making of life and death over our own decisions, just as a king has absolute power. Now, the Pasuk says that when a king is sitting on his throne, he has to have with him a Sefer Torah at all times, in addition to the regular Sefer Torah that every Jew has a responsibility to keep at home. Sifrei Torah, Chumashim, books, Talmud, Gemara, Mishnah, Halacha, aside from what every Jew has a responsibility to have a Sefer Torah, so the king has to sit with one at all times so that he doesn't get haughty. And in fact, the Pasuk says, V'hayasa imo v'kara bo kol yemei chayav. It has to be with him, and he reads in this Sefer all the days of his life. And this is Leman Yarich Yomim al Mamlachto Hu Uvanov Bekerev Yisrael, so that he and his children will live amongst the Jewish people for long periods of time, till the end of days. Now, it's not only the king, as we said, but each and every one of us has to have this Sefer Torah. It's interesting that the entire section is introduced by one word, and that word is V'haya Keshivto, V'haya, and it will be when he sits on his throne. Our rabbis have explained in the Medrash, in Vayikra Rabbah, that whenever it says the word V'haya, it's a lashon of simcha, an expression of joy. The simcha of the king, the simcha of the subjects of the king, the simcha of the Jewish people is going to be when he sits on the throne and has the Sefer Torah with him. The joy of the Jewish people, the absolute Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha that accrues to the king and to the Jewish people, comes from the study and the learning and observance of the Torah. We want to go through life with this sense of simcha, and we want to understand that when we have the Torah, that is our simcha. And so the king and you and I are commanded to keep this Torah with us at all times, because that is the way we will remain for a long period of time. Man yarich yamim hu uvana, so that he and his children will have long life on this kingship, this rulership. And this long life, of course, refers to the long life of joy that comes from fulfilling, learning, living the mitzvahs of the Torah. And consequently, the king is a paradigm for each and every one of us. And as we approach Chodesh Elul, and the king, the Melech HaKadosh, is sitting on his throne, he wants us to remember that in order for us to be like kings and to have simcha, we have to have the Sefer Torah with us and read in it at all times. Have a wonderful Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom Umevorach, and make it a Shabbos filled with the joy and the simcha of V'haya, and it will be Lashon Simcha. Shabbat Shalom Umevorach.